Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing the on my shelf tag, and I wasn't tagged by this specifically, but I just really like this. I think it's great to find some things on people's shelves that maybe you wouldn't pick up normally or things you haven't heard of. So I really wanted to go ahead and do it myself, and I went to Twitter and asked you guys to pick some numbers for me, and I got lots of responses, so I'm going to separate this video into two parts. I'm going to do 7 books in each part. So this is the first part of the on the shelf tag, and I want to say thank you to everybody who gave me a number. Everyone answered very quickly, which was great, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I got a lot of great books here that I've never talked about before, so let's get started. The first number that I was given was Shelf 3, Book 7, and that happened to be Hunted by N M Browne. I have not read this yet. This is a young adult book, and I don't even remember how I found this. I just stumbled across it somehow, and it sounded so interesting. It is magical realism. I'll read you the back. 2 lives run in parallel. The life of a girl called Karen as she lies in a coma in a hospital, and the life of a fox in an ancient and dark world. These 2 lives are one and the same spirit. The girl trapped in the fox must uncover some deeply buried secrets and help her human friend, Maul, rescue an ancient monarchy, and the spirit in Karen must struggle against the enveloping power of a coma. In this remarkable and unusual book, N M Browne has created a universe in which secrets lie buried just waiting to be uncovered and ancient feuds need to be resolved, paralleling Karen's life in contemporary Britain and the vigil around her hospital bed. So this sounds really interesting. It almost sounds like a fable, and I'm really excited to pick it up, so maybe this will urge me to pick it up a little bit sooner. The next one on my list was Shelf 1, Book 1, so the first book, and I should have said at the beginning that my shelves are kind of in alphabetical order. They were really good originally, and then they've kind of gotten messed up over the course of time, and I haven't had time to fix them yet. But for the most part, they're in alphabetical order. So the first book on my first shelf is The Children's Hospital by Adrian. And this is published by McSweeney's Press, which is a wonderful small publisher, and I love their books so much. They're just beautiful objects. I have quite a few of them. Maybe I will do a spotlight on them at some point. This is a book about a world where the earth has flooded, and I believe this story follows a children's hospital and the people that live inside that building and how they're surviving in this apocalyptic world. So I haven't heard anybody ever talk about this on BookTube, and I think it has pretty high reviews on Goodreads, so it is a pretty chunky book, so I definitely want to scoop out some time for it, but I would like to get to it sooner rather than later. Next numbers that were chosen was Shelf 4, Book 23, and that book was Reasons She Goes to the Woods by Deborah Davies, and I first heard about this on Jen Campbell's channel, and I immediately went out and bought it because it just sounds so interesting. I have seen quite a bit of praise for it since then. I don't know too much about it. I do know that it is about a young girl who goes into the woods, obviously, and some mysterious things ensue. I do know that it's written in a very interesting writing style. The entire book is a blank page with 1 word on it and then a full page of text, and so I always am interested to see unique writing styles and how they pan out, so I would love to pick this up. The next number that was chosen was Shelf 12, Book 16, and that happened to be The Butcher Boy by Patrick McCabe, and this, I believe, is about a young boy who's very disturbed. I think that he might actually be a murderer or on the way to being a murderer, and it is about his downward spiral into insanity, basically. And I haven't heard much about this either. I actually stumbled across this at a library book sale, and it's quite short, but I think it will pack a very big punch. The next numbers were Shelf 12, Book 12, and that happened to be one of my books I got for Christmas, which was Don't Look Now, short stories by Daphne Maurier, and I believe that these short stories are definitely more on the horror side over the gothic novels that she writes, and so I'm really excited. You guys know I love horror, I love scary stuff, so I'm really excited to get into this, and this is the Virago Modern Classics cloth-bound editions, which are just so stunning, and I have so many of Daphne Maurier's works in them, and I'm hoping to get a lot more. The next numbers were Shelf 21 and number 25, which was actually the last book on my shelf, and that happened to be I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak, and this is the author that wrote The Book Thief, which I loved, and this is about says, Kennedy is an underage cab driver without much of a future. He's pathetic at playing cards, hopelessly in love with his best friend Audrey, and utterly devoted to his coffee-drinking dog, the doorman. His life is one of peaceful routine and incompetence until he inadvertently stops a bank robbery. That's when the first ace arrives in the mail. That's when Ed becomes the messenger. Chosen to care, he takes his way through town, helping and hurting when necessary, until only one question remains. Who is behind Ed's mission? So this sounds like a really good YA kind of thriller book. I really enjoyed Zusak's writing, so I'm excited to read this one. It seems like it's very different to The Book Thief, so I'm interested to see how it goes. And the last book in the part 1 of On My Shelf tag, the numbers were Shelf 20, Book 13, and that happened to be The Good Thief by Hannah Tinti. And I read this a couple years ago. This is about a young orphan named Wren who only has one hand. A young man named Benjamin comes and claims that he is his older brother, and he kind of sweeps him up into this adventure involving grave robbers, treasure hunting, and a variety of things. It's very beautifully written. I wasn't blown away by it. I gave it 3 stars. I definitely enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. I would be interested to read it again and see how it holds up. So that is the first part of my On My Shelf book tag. Thank you so much to everybody who gave me numbers, and I will see you in part 2. So until then, happy reading.